Well, well, well. Bottom nerd here, y'all. And we are gonna talk about some heavy shit. Because, bottom line, you figured it out yet? Question mark. Sometimes it's hard being right. And I do speak on behalf of all conspiracy theorists out there. Conservatives, right wings, etc. Have you genuinely figured it out yet? You'll notice with all this January 6th new footage that is being released via Tucker Carlson, the internet, etc., you'll notice crickets coming from the media. Even just, look at your social media right now. Unless you directly follow a right wing conservative, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, etc., have you heard or seen any of it? Have you seen any of the unreleased footage of police officers literally giving tour guides to these so-called, quote, insurrectionists? Did you see that? How about the shaman guy? Did you see his personal tour where he was literally escorted throughout Congress? I mean, probably nothing more than a peaceful protest. In our view, we'll chalk it up to a riot. You remember those, right? But whatever happens to accountability, the government, the United States government right now is shitting its pants if you look close enough. This is I don't think for anybody that's listening to this podcast, I know there's not many, but I do appreciate those that do. For those of you that know me maybe a little bit more than the stranger listening to this, and you know what? Yeah, I'm going to talk even directly to the stranger. This is really bad. This isn't like corruption bad. This goes beyond corruption and tyranny. This is at levels in which Hitler 1940s did some of the most atrocious shit in modern history. There are people, human beings, that have literally had their lives ruined and are still sitting in a jail cell because they were not given proper evidence. If it doesn't make you angry or boil your blood, there is no hope. This is, I don't know what else I always talk about this and I broken record moment. What if this is not waking you up? What on God's green earth will? The United States government is not even hiding it anymore. The level of debauchery, if that's a word to equivalate what's going on right now. You are not safe. Even just here in Washington, good old Washington. We all know how much I fucking love this place, said no one. They just passed new gun laws. That's right. You got your wish, King County, Seattle, left. Soon, there won't be any more assault rifles allowed in this state. Here's where the problem is. It'll never hold up. Sure, it might look pretty on a news station right now. It might look pretty a few months from now when Mr. What's-His-Face Inslee signs it. But here's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, it doesn't count towards anybody that has a quote assault weapons rifle thing, whatever you want to call it, already. So if you already have a so-called assault rifle, which doesn't exist because there is no such thing as an assault rifle, you get to keep it because you've already bought it before this law got signed. Here's number two. It goes against the Second Amendment. It literally goes against it. So guess what? There are going to be countermeasures, I guess if that's what they're called. Lawsuits, I guess is a better word for it. This will run up to the Supreme Court and it will get destroyed. So you've had your moment. Sure, I'll give you that. Granted, I'll give you that. You will today you've had your win. But it won't last. You know, it's interesting. We'll chat about this more maybe another time, but it's interesting when I read these articles and I read these forums. You know, people, they always say from Washington, like, I'm so glad I got out of there and I went to Texas or I went to Florida or I went somewhere that allows you to provide safety to your family with a firearm, etc. And the saddest part about all of that is just because you've moved doesn't mean the fight's over. This year, I mean, genuinely, the last few years alone, there has been the largest mass exodus from California. Sure, that's a sign of just how terrible it is there, but it's also a sign of that these potential folks that are moving likely want to change the politics wherever they're moving. So, what do we do then? The United States government would guarantee you they would love nothing more than to take every bullet, every gun, every AR-15 out of your hand, out of your home tomorrow. Because the moment they can do that, the moment they will have complete and absolute control. That's why the US government is afraid of people like me. It's not because we have firearms. It's because we can't be controlled. We see past the bullshit. You can call us any sort of derogatory name. You can discriminate us. You can hate us, whatever you want to call it. But we will always call out your bullshit. Now, I'm not here to call anybody any names or disrespect this or disrespect that. I'm simply here to point out that though I will always ride the line that keeps me employed, hopefully, touch wood, knock on my head. Obviously, there is so much more I want to tell and share. And we'll talk about this as well in another episode coming up in a few weeks because my wish has finally been granted that Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder, is officially back. MugClub will be returning to Rumble. Thank fucking God. I was literally going through withdrawals without my Crowder in the morning. And it's interesting what he's telling us because, you know, he's basically saying just pick any podcast right now, any YouTube channel podcast, whatever it might be. And it's very PG, it's very restricted, it's exactly what I do. Because to put it bluntly, we have a metaphoric gun to our heads. Do you want to have health insurance? Do you want to have a job? Then you fall in line. I've said this many times, and this is something I don't feel is going against any rules or what have you, but through my many employers that I've had over the years, whether it be current or past, my viewpoints, the way I view things, the opinions I have, they are not welcome. They are discriminated against daily, if not hourly. It is also basically they make me well known of that, as in they get to know me just a little bit to where they know where I lean, and they make it a point to, of course, address maybe issues or other aspects of day-to-day life that go against it. So what does that tell you? It tells you that, as I've always said, that I'm very much alone, but at the same time, hopefully I'm not. Because hopefully somewhere deep down inside of you right now, you're starting to get it. You're starting to get the fact that you are being lied to consistently. When is it going to be enough? You can't afford anything. Everything's crazy expensive. I don't know what it is. What is it going to take to realize you can be and have more? You can be better than this. And I'm not talking, of course, yes, you could do the elections and you could elect the right people and blah de blue blah blue, because there's no corruption there, said no one. But what you can do is share and spread facts. You can spread information. You can become your very own conspiracy theorist. We tell the truth, even if it hurts. Sure, we make mistakes. And you know what? We'll own it. I have no problem owning it. But we will not be controlled. We will not be told how to live our life. We will live the best lives that we possibly can. And we will do it without you. We don't need your help. We've been doing fine all by ourselves. Again, you look at the gun aspect. Look at the NRA alone. There are hundreds upon hundreds of millions of firearms in this country, trillions and trillions of rounds of ammunition. Trust me, if we were the problem, you'd know it. But maybe Steven is right. Crowder. Maybe now is that time, especially with all the January 6th stuff. Maybe we just don't sugarcoat it anymore. Maybe we stop this tiptoeing. We can't be silenced anymore. We really, I mean, genuinely speaking, I know this isn't just cliche to say this. We cannot be silent anymore about the sheer crazy that's going on right now in this country. We can't look the other way anymore. We can't look down. We can't just ignore it. We have to speak up. And that's what I hopefully will continue to do here. Maybe I will need to start slipping that line a little bit, at least the way I think. I'm sure it's probably okay, and maybe I am overthinking it. I probably am. But at the same time, it scares me to death to not have health insurance. It scares me to death to not know if I'll get a paycheck next week. It doesn't even have to be this podcast. It could be just something stupid that happens. Something silly, something just random can happen, and boom, your whole life changes. So for now, I do this. I do the podcast. I do the YouTube channel. I speak to you, the listener, the watcher, the subscriber, the follower, the hater, and just hope and pray daily that maybe just one day, one time, one person I can actually get through to and make them think just for a split second that maybe things aren't exactly what I'm being told through television, through media, through everything else in between, except my own eyes. And if I can do that, then I've succeeded. And that is what changes the world. So think about it. You don't have to do it today, you don't have to do it tomorrow. But I would tell you to simply look around a little bit more. Do some more research. Just try to think outside of the box just for one moment. And if anything else, and I say this again from the bottom of my heart I really hope this will happen. Let's come together and let's start to speak up more about these issues, about these things that are happening. You know, whether it's January 6th or gun control this, gun control that, or, you know, even just Women's History Month, or it's not women, it's Women's Month. I know there's a month, said this month is March, it's Women's March. You know where I'm going, but the bottom line is women are okay. Well, we don't need to go down that path. The bottom line is, you know where I'm getting at, is just it's time to come together and it's time to wake up the masses. That's how change happens. Burning down cities is not how you make change. It just isn't. You can call it whatever you want, but simply burning down your city is, you just look silly. Violence is never the answer. Telling the truth is the answer. Accountability is the answer. Spreading facts is the answer. And the tide is shifting. It really is. Deep down, I mean, just personally, I believe things are going to get worse before they get better, but I am hopeful things do get better. I really do. Things are shifting in the direction that hopefully you're going to see some crazy shit in the next few months. The history books, good lord, I can't even imagine what they're going to be like 10 years from now, 5, 10 years, 20 years from now. It's going to be, there's just no word for it, I guess, but we'll just leave it at that. So, obviously, huge thanks to everybody listening right now, subscribers, listeners, watchers. And as I've said, broken record, yes, even those haters, even the ones that do not like me, do not like my spiel or who I am, etc. Because you know what? You keep, it's free rent. You keep listening, you keep watching, and I do thank you for it, because maybe someday you'll see what we see, and maybe you want to learn a bit more, learn a little bit more, and fuck it, we'll teach you. We'll gladly talk to you. And even if you have something different, you know what? Tell us. Like I've always said, I'm open. Tell me. Let me know what you think. Talk to me. I don't give a crap if it's different viewpoints than mine. Teach me something. Let me try to explain something to me. Let me try to better understand your viewpoint. That's the difference between us and them. We accept anybody. It doesn't really matter who you are, what you want to be. We just want to listen without retribution or, you know, any other negative backlash, feedback, etc. We seek to understand. It's not rocket science. To be quite honest, it's really what makes us who we are. Just people that are trying to better themselves and better the way of life. Better the way of life. Sorry, words get a little fumbled sometimes. So, keep it in mind. Keep your spirits up. I know times are hard, things are rough, but we are going to get through it. Things are going to be okay. And even if they're not okay, that's just human life. That's just the way of things. Try to change it. Make it better. Not even necessarily for somebody else, but just make your own self better some way. You'd be surprised what one little thing can do. Start your own podcast, start your own YouTube channel. Who knows? Just try something different and see what happens. You just never know. All right, y'all. With all that said, thank you again. I super duper duper into pooper appreciate every single one of you. And we will talk to you guys next time. Later, y'all.